So we have finally left Norway, and we thought we'd take the chance to just give a few facts about Norway. There's things, well, not more facts, but things that we realised about the country that were different to what we're used to. But first I wanted to say a few things about how we travelled and what that looked like. So for starters, in case you didn't know, you don't need an international driver's licence to drive in most countries. Places like Norway, all you need is your normal Australian licence or wherever you are from, and you can just drive. Secondly, how we cooked. So we did a lot of camping and cooking, so we actually had a little gas canister.
It's just a little camping stove, and then you buy gas canisters. You can use like method-based stoves like a Trangia, but in general you'll get a gas canister at a petrol station or a sports store. You just can't fly with them, so you've got to get them in each country you fly to.
So we ended up just buying some veggies from the supermarket, some curry paste, some rice, and cooked that in the evenings. That was pretty good. And the last thing I wanted to mention was our phone provider. So obviously I've had a phone while I've been here with internet, so we can get around and work out what we want to do.
Telia Norway is who we went. There's two big ones. There's Telenor Norway, or there's Telia Norway, and we went with Telia because people online were saying they're the best SIM card to roam around Europe. So we've now got that data for the rest of our time in Europe.
Which is really helpful because I'm still using it right now. So now for some fun facts about Norway that we kind of learnt or saw along our trip. So the first one is the sun rises at around 3:30 to between 3:30 and 4:30 depending on where you are in the country, and it sets around 10:30 to 11:30 in the evenings. So you get a lot of daylight, which is great for squishing heat into a day, but it's also really hard to get to sleep and really hard to not wake up too early in the morning. So
I would say set means the sun dips below the horizon and doesn't really go to full pitch black as we would know it. The other interesting one is most roads are 80 k's an hour. In towns it's generally 30 k's an hour. You don't ever really hit that as an average speed anyway. So I think for our trip we averaged around 60 k's an hour driving through the hills and through everywhere. So it takes a fair bit longer than what you'd think to get around.
And they also don't actually have speed limit signs very often. It's usually end 60 and you've got to realise that it's 80 normally everywhere, so you just assume that you're going 80.
The traffic lights also go orange to green rather than just orange to red.
So the next thing is electric cars. Norway has a really strong incentive to buy an electric car, as in you don't have any sales tax, you got no import duties, and you get free charging all around the place, and you don't have to pay road tolls or ferries.
Road tolls is a massive one. I reckon we paid nearly $500 Australian for all the different ferries and road tolls around the place, so that's a really big bonus. Next thing is just the building style. It was very different to Australia. There were a lot of two-story or more buildings. There were a lot of buildings with grass on the roofs, and there were a lot of buildings that were red with white trim or just any colour with white trim. So it was quite beautiful, but very different.
Yeah, very much a wooden building kind of place.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of brick back home.
Yeah.
The whole Scandinavian area, you can camp anywhere you want as long as it's not near someone's house within like 150 meters. It's not on any crops or anything like that, and you obey all signs up around. So you can camp anywhere. Saying that, if you're going towards major attractions, don't try and camp anywhere
There are a few no camping signs.
Yeah, there's a lot of no camping signs around.
Next fact is that shops are closed on Sundays. So I think it's if your shop is over 100 square meters in size, then it can't open on a Sunday. It's very helpful, I guess, if you're a Norwegian because you know that, but when you're a tourist and you don't realise, you need to make sure your groceries are bought on the Saturday or you're going to starve on Sunday or just live on bags of chips and expensive convenience store food.
As we did a bit of riding around, or there's a lot of places in Europe, if you haven't been there, cycling is a big part of European culture. And to make that more accessible, they don't have helmets, but that kind of goes along with roads being 30 k's an hour, so there's less likely to have a big accident, and all those kind of things. And then last one, I suppose, currency conversion. So Norway is one of the most expensive places to travel to, along with a few other things like Iceland. Switzerland's up there as well, but the currency conversion, so Norway works on the Norwegian kroner, and from $1 Australian you get about 6 Norwegian kroner.
So as an example of the currency, like Subway, I think for a chicken teriyaki foot long was $17, Australian if you do the conversion, and in Australia what would it be? Something more like
$11 or $12.
yeah. And for example, I bought on the train before we came here, I bought some sandwich and some muffins, which you'll see a clip of now. That was 28 Australian dollars, and in Australia I think that would only have been between $10 and $15. So food is very, very expensive, and which did mean that's why we did a lot of supermarket shopping and tried to avoid eating out. We'd had a burger and chips and drinks, and that cost us 90 Australian dollars at a restaurant. It was a bit stressful, and I'm so glad to be leaving it almost because just to be able to eat and not feel guilty. So yeah, that's everything from us. A few different things that we learned. So now we're off to Sweden, which we're in right now, and so I guess you'll stay tuned for what we get up to here. Thanks for watching.
Oh yeah.